Okay, good evening, everybody. And to everybody that's online right now, thank you for joining us. We're coming to you from Dubai and Expo City. And with me today, I have an amazing panel of young people. My name is Shaquille Kareem. I'm with the World YMCA. For those of you who do not know, we're in 120 countries and we impact about 60 million people every year. Today, we are having more or less a debrief session about COP28. All of these guys here have been with us for some time. Most of us 2 weeks, or half of us 2 weeks, and another half 1 week. So we're going to get into the conversation today, but as we begin, I'd love to hear a quick introduction from every one of you. Could just talk to our people that are watching. We'll start with Maya.
I pressed the button, right? Or is it on already? Oh, it's on already. Okay, cool. Hello, my name is Maya. I'm from YMCA Ireland, and I'm one of the 2-week ones, and I'm a director with YMCA Ireland for the International Development and Global Justice Committee, and this is my second COP, so I kind of knew what I was getting into this time. But yeah, that's me, I think.
Hello. Oh, perfect. Hey guys, it's Lesta. I'm Lester Diosa from the YMCA Philippines. And yeah, I stayed here for 1 week and it's been amazing. I'm usually an advocate for oceans, SDG 12, and mostly arts and design. And I've been jumping from one panel to another. Passing it on to you, Sophia.
Hi everyone, my name is Sofia. I'm from Salto, Uruguay, and I've been here since the beginning. So I'm already tired of walking, and I would like to sleep. But yeah, I mostly focus on climate education and also youth advocacy. So that's what I've been eager to learn here, and yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Zule and I come from Kosovo. I work as a youth director in the YMCA Kosovo, and the reason why I'm here is to advocate for young people and so the voice of young people can be heard.
Thank you so much. I also want to give a big shout out and a thank you to WWF for letting us use this pavilion. It is always a resource challenge for youth organizations to be here and have their own space. So having a partnership with WWF and giving us a platform to actually speak and have an honest dialogue is incredible this year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. We're really just here to have a honest conversation about COP. And let's start with Sophia. I'd love to know, how are you feeling so far about COP28?
Well, good question, especially it's our last day here. So yeah, I'm really tired, honestly, in one word. But yeah, like mostly I had mixed feelings. Of course, I had my good moments and bad moments. But yeah, talking about the good part, I've been really happy to see meet with other youth and also talk about how we went through the same challenges and how we all of us found a different solution. So it's been really nice to exchange, and also yeah, mostly good. I'm really happy that this is a more youth COP, and yeah, but on the same side, I was like, it was very hard for me to adapt to the city and also to the venue. But yeah, I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Lots of walking.
Yeah, too much.
And how about you, Lester? How are you feeling about COP28?
I'm feeling about COP. Well, it's just me. It's just my first week here. It's different compared to the first ones who arrived earlier. So I've been excited about it. Then I got exhausted about it, and then I got excited again because I knew what to avoid and what not to be exhausted about it. But the whole experience is just exciting. It's all a learning platform, a learning experience. Different pavilions have been offering a lot of learning opportunities as well. I've been seeing a lot of my interests, and at the same time, I'm seeing things I could bring back to the Philippines, YMCA Philippines, and even to my local Y. So it's been really interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing more cops, but I hope they adjust with their, the places. It's just really, even if I'm just here for 1 week, I still feel the same tiredness you guys are.
Yeah, cop is definitely a tiring experience. Maya.
Um, yeah, probably like the others, mixed feelings. I suppose with this cop, I'd been to one before, so I kind of knew what was it was going to be like, the good and the bad. I could be more meaningful and purposeful about it, which I'm really glad about. It meant that I was, I suppose, able to connect with more other young people, other climate activists, and really kind of engross myself further into the community. And I suppose be more purposeful about what I'm sharing in relation to climate justice and amplifying other people and trying to, I suppose, get the message out there in a stronger lens. But then with COP, like, I know you were saying with like more cops in the future, like in an ideal scenario, I wish there weren't any more cops because we'd have everything.
I'd have to scrap that one out.
No. But I know what you meant. Do you know what I mean? And the reality is there will be more cops because there is no way that we could actually get our act together and get everything kind of done. But yeah, so as always with COP, the inaccessibility of the venue, the language, the, I suppose, lack of indigenous voices, the lack of more marginalized communities in decision-making processes. It's the same thing every year. So it's frustrating. I feel very frustrated.
Thank you for being honest. Ule?
Yes, so I was part of COP26 also in Glasgow, and somehow I knew what to expect from COP. But I'm happy to say that this COP has been somehow, according to me and according to my experience, better because I've seen the voice of young people more present, and somehow there were more panel discussions that were about young people, and somehow also young people were present in those panel discussions. So that was the good part of the COP that I really somehow I felt inspired, but also another thing that has been a good experience for me was meeting other people and meeting especially young leaders across the world and seeing their solutions and how they are addressing like the problems that they are facing in their country. In this case, what solutions they are giving to those problems. It has been very inspiring for me. And I cannot wait these solutions and these ideas to send them back in Kosovo.
Thank you. So I've heard frustration, exhaustion, inspiration. So there's a lot going on here. And for those of you who just joined us right now, I just want to clarify the intention of our panel is to have an honest conversation about, at least 4 young leaders, honest reflections about this conference and the topic of climate change and the climate transition, and really specifically climate justice. With that in mind, let's talk a little bit about challenges and hopes. So who would like to go first? I'd love to know, are there any challenges you'd like to talk about in a brief minute? Anybody want to go first? Or should I pick on someone?
You want to go?
Oh, okay. I see default. Challenges and hopes. I'll start with challenges first and then hope. Challenges, as always, like kind of what I said, it's the UNFCCC system is really challenging to navigate. You have to live, breathe, eat COP, and the policies and everything in advance. You can't just kind of like, you can come and arrive, but it's a bit of a in the deep end if you haven't done like preparation beforehand. And getting to COP itself, I'm relatively lucky that like I have the support of an organization like the YMCA. But I know for the vast majority of people, especially people from MAPA communities, getting here is almost impossible between visas, between funding, between getting a badge, getting into the room. So that's kind of a challenging thing. And I think it's also a emotional challenge as well. That's a big thing. But hope, the thing that always gives me hope is every time I go to the Day of Global Action, where people take to the streets of COP, and it's such an intersectional experience of different causes and challenges and communities coming together to just support each other and rally for each other. And that always makes me feel revitalized halfway through. Yeah.
Thank you, Maya. Let's go to Ule.
Okay, so first I would go with hope. As I mentioned earlier, what was the good thing and something that brought me hope for this cup was that the fact that I could see everywhere young people, and somehow I also saw some themes that were not discussed in the previous cups. One of those these themes was educational theme, which I know that, for example, in the previous cups wasn't even part of discussions, and it was not even part of any panel or any pavilion. So this year, seeing that somehow COP is bringing an importance also to education is very important, because we need to educate not only young people but the whole generation about the climate change impact, and also about what each country and how they are facing these problems that they are having in their countries. While a challenge, I'm going to take it in my context, for example, a challenge has been that I'm the only young person from Kosovo who is part of the second week. So it's been somehow a challenge, because you see other young people going with their country, meeting their representatives, and somehow then you're there, but you don't have the representatives of your country. But the good thing, and the one thing that brings me hope, is that for the first time Kosovo was part of COP28, which means that Kosovo had also a delegation present, and that brings me hope for future. So also Kosovo can tackle issues that are related to climate change.
So, I mean, just even your own statehood getting included, right, is a challenge. And it sounds like there's been some hope on the horizon for that, which is very different from other countries, like where I'm from in the United States. Really interesting. Sophia or Lester, maybe one more. Either one of you want to come in here?
I'll go for it. Let's start with challenges on this end. I want to go on a personal perspective, then go in a wider perspective first. Personally, as a diverse individual, I am part of the LGBT community. It's a bit hard thinking that I'm going to Dubai, considering the country, the beliefs, the way, the rules in the community. I myself feel unwelcome, but I had to adjust myself just to be here. And at the same time, I consider that as a movement and as a protest already, that I'm going beyond borders despite of what my identity is, just to forward climate action and climate justice. And then on the COP itself challenges, I've been seeing a lot of similarities. Like, for example, things that we're facing in the Philippines, we're also facing in other parts of the countries. Like, I've been jumping from one pavilion to another, meeting a lot of people, but then realizing, they're also having the same issues. Makes sense. Things like that. So it's still a huge challenge, and it's still a huge challenge that they are still not solving those issues as well. Because I was somehow hoping that they know the answer to it, so I could bring it back to the Philippines. So things like that. But at the same time, I'm also hopeful, because before going here, I was part of a group of all the youth Philippine delegation. So I'm really hopeful that I'm not just one of the many young Filipinos who's here at COP. And at the same time, I'm really thankful that they're all out there aggressively fighting for what needs to be done. Specifically, our country needs a lot of changes.
Thank you. And Sophia, you want to come in on this one, or you want to go to the next one?
I'll be short. I want to say that I agree with you. I won't say your name.
Ule.
Very hard to pronounce, sorry. Because I'm also the only person under 30 from Uruguay here. And it's very hard, like it's a challenge to, it's a great responsibility to represent your country and to make sure that you are doing your best. So it's a very hard preparation to make sure that you are collecting the right information and making sure that you are including others' opinions, and also while being here, going to places, gathering information that is also relevant for the youth in Uruguay. And so that's a challenge, and I think that you always think that you're just not ready for it. Um, and yeah, so, and also I'm very far away from home, so that also is a challenge. And yeah, but
Can I
my
a-
hopes, yeah.
Can I ask how many hours it took to get over here?
Well, in total, I had to travel for around more than 26 hours. Yeah, but also it's very nice to come here and get inspired by others. So, there's a reason to come here. So I'm going home with some hopes. Yeah.
Thank you so much, all of you. I'm going to go ahead and move us in a different direction and talk a little bit more about justice. And specifically, my question is, so at COP, we often hear a lot of talk about investing in new technology, different methods, different ways of extracting from the earth. And not a lot of attention is given to behavior change. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, what role behavior changes have throughout society? Are they an effective solution here? I'm just curious about your perspective. Would anybody here like to come on this first? Sophia, go ahead.
Okay. So for me, that's a big thing, and it's also something that I question like several times in different occasions. While hearing to others' opinions or ideas, I also question that. So previously we were talking about this because at first I didn't quite understood the question, but yeah. So then we thought about an example, and for me, we really have to think that, for example, years ago, we did some other things that nowadays seem so complicated. So we were used to cook our own food, peel our own fruit, and nowadays we have it so simple because we go to the supermarket and we have two options. For example, we can either peel our own fruit and we have to wash it, take the bad parts off, and do a lot of work. Or we can also buy the fruit ready to eat with the best parts selected. And of course, that it is hard to pick the first option because the other one is so easy. And nowadays, we are always in a hurry, and so we don't want to spend time in anything. And so for me, we have to change our behavior and the way that we think and we are related to the earth.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. So the example of now I go into our ancestors would pick a fruit from a tree, peel it, eat it, it was there. And now it's like, oh, now we can go to the market. It's actually easier and more accessible to find cut up fruit in a plastic container, right? Generating more waste. So there seems to be, I think I get what you're saying, there seems to be a lot of effort in consumerism. More and more people make money off of making new things. And I think this is what a lot of indigenous communities have been advocating for here since the beginning, is that we've already had a relationship that didn't need to be changed. And so I think that's a really interesting point. Diving more into the aspect of justice, I have a different question, maybe for you, Ule. Thinking about climate change and the climate transition that we're going through, are youth in your region united on the issue? Does everyone have the same position? Or what would be, I guess, where are you at in this?
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to talk mainly about my region and how young people think, in this case, about for my region. Unfortunately, green and environment is not that present in Balkan region or in general in Kosovo and other countries. So one thing that is also related to behavioral change is educating young people from the beginning and from the start, which means educating them from the school and from the kindergarten. But back to the question, unfortunately, young people are not very united when it comes to this topic or this issue because of lack of education from the school, and not only, but also somehow from the society. And not many people know the importance of the environment and environment protection. So it's not that many people are passionate about, and not many people care about environment. But compared, for example, 10 years ago, I can see that things are changing. Things are changing for better. I can see that young people are more involved now than they used to be, for example, 10 years ago. Speaking also from my experience, for example, in school, we never mentioned climate change, environment, but I know that now, thanks to organizations such as YMCA in Kosovo and other non-governmental organizations, they're educating young people on the importance of environment and taking care of environment. But somehow we're still not united when it comes to this topic, so we need more youth advocacy, not only for green, but also for other topics.
Okay, I like that. So you're really talking about education, bringing it in at an earlier age. Something that we've been talking quite a lot about, we've been hearing a lot about at COP here. And a different, or actually maybe Maya, I'd love to hear from you, coming from Ireland. How about youth in your region? Do you think there's alignment? Is there challenges in having a unified message, or?
Ireland. Actually, after this COP and specifically, I'm really, really proud of Irish youth. There's a really big contingent of us here. I think there's around like 18. And I would say in Ireland, we definitely are advocating for climate justice in youth, big time. Here, for example, we have been trying to hunt down our minister for the environment for nearly 2 weeks, being promised like meeting after meeting after meeting. Very graciously now, there is a meeting on at the moment, after changing it like 5 times. But anyways, we got a hold of him.
Happens.
I know, but in Ireland itself, it's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of Irish young people. There's, I suppose, a big focus on a just transition. So youth are very much in agreement that climate change is an issue that needs to be addressed. However, there is a lot of finger pointing and blame towards the farming and agricultural community around, like, Ireland has huge methane emissions. So there's a big discussion around what is equal, what is fair, what is just in terms of how we become a more sustainable community. I think what Ule was saying about education is also something that would be very important in Ireland. We really need to integrate climate education into, like, early education, not just in a university level, and having vocational training as well. So people who are early school leavers, people who maybe drop out of secondary school early, a lot of farming community members do that. And in order, I suppose, especially for Ireland to become more sustainable, we really need to invest in our young people more. There's also the context of it being north and south. For people who are unaware, there is a portion of Ireland up in the north that is part of the United Kingdom. So there's that thing of what is, our shared vision for YMCA Ireland is an all-island organisation. So a lot of what we're trying to do is connect young people from north and south in a shared vision for climate justice.
Thank you. I like that. And there's so many different pieces of our history, of politics, of money that flows into this discussion of the climate transition. I'm curious, one of the things that I'm just curious to get your thoughts on, whoever's brave enough to answer this question. When we think about course correction, this idea that, for most of human history, we've been on this course of inequality. We've made profit, we've made institutions off the backs of people that a lot of us in positions of privilege never see. Is climate change about course correction, or is it about keeping our system the way it is and doing it a different way? Go ahead.
I'd like to answer that one. I think it's more about course correction because we got to where we are now because of what we were doing before. So we don't want to stay here. We don't want to go on the same lane again. So it's I don't think mitigation is gonna make it even better. It's gonna help us feel a lot easier. But the more we forward that path, it's not gonna go easier because the planet is gonna go worse. So I think what we have to do now is correct where we're going, guide the people where we're going to where is much much better.
Is that hard at COP? I mean,
Hard at COP?
are you facing that challenge?
Hard
Is that
at
possible?
COP. If everyone, if the people who's in charge on directing the course is all about money, then it's gonna be hard because the people they're guiding is not thinking about money. It's gonna be hard when their interests are two different things. The one they're guiding is thinking about sustainability, having better lives, being safe, having security, feeling good at their homes, and having the same thing they were experiencing before without any problems or any issues. But the one leading you is just thinking, okay, I'll lead you because I'm gonna earn this way. It's not gonna make sense at all.
Yeah, I'm getting the sense that there's a level of uncomfortability for us in this transition. And my perspective here at this is my third COP, is this seems to be where the tension is. We have a lot of civil society organizations here saying we need to recorrect and rethink how we do things. And then we have a lot of political stagnation. We have a lot of very slow movement. The negotiations are not giving us what a lot of grassroots organizations, local-based organizations are asking for. Does anyone want to come in on this one at all? Ule?
Yeah, I would just like to answer to that question because somehow for me both is the answer. The reason why I'm saying that is because not for everything you need to invent something new because for example, we know that the food that we used to eat in the past used to be much healthier than it is now. And that has changed due to the like new technology, pesticides and everything. So sometimes we have to go back to our origin and to how things were raised, for example, from our grandparents and stuff like this. Also, we know meat industry is completely different from how it used to be. So I would say that not everything needs to be reinvented. Sometimes we have to go back to what our fathers or mothers learned or taught us, and just to take their examples and live through those examples. But there are some problems that need new solutions because the world is not the same how it used to be, for example, 30 years ago, just because of these changes.
Thank you, thank you.
Can I quickly just
Yeah,
jump in
yeah.
there, just around that, because kind of going off what the two of you have said there, I think a big part, I suppose, of the COP context is when it comes to, next path, it's kind of limited because people are unwilling to take accountability for past actions, especially colonialism. And the reason most of the countries are struggling to react to climate change and struggling, like the Loss and Damage Fund, is because wealthier countries are unwilling to let go of power and money that they've accumulated through taking advantage of other countries and colonizing them and becoming wealthy through that and creating unstable political systems. So until accountability is taken and people are willing to give up a certain portion of their wealth in order to have, I suppose, a stronger global community, then it's going to be very hard to course correct without that finance.
Absolutely, that's well said. Thank you so much. And I think for those of you here or joining us or online, that is, I think, one of the biggest messages here about that's what climate justice is. There's been a lot of injustice, and in order to even begin to tackle the issue of climate change, we kind of have to address those fundamental human rights first. All right. So we've talked about your experience at COP. We've talked about your hopes and your challenges, and then we talked a little bit about justice and your thoughts on that. I would love to just hear some stories or your opinions on, you've met with all these people from around the world, a lot of young people. I'm just curious, how do you think we're all similar? Sophia, you want to come in on this?
Okay. So it's very interesting to me as a advocate for climate education, how when you're hearing to others' stories, you at least I always hear the same thing, and it is that neither of us had proper climate education on school, and but like all of us, we found a passion about climate change some other way, but not through education. And so for me, it's crazy to think about that. And so so I think that we all share that similarity, and that it inspires me to keep working on climate education, because I think that with no if like with climate education, maybe more people will be interesting and fighting climate change.
Thank you. How about you, Lester? Anyways, Ule?
We're all similar to the point that we're all angry. I believe so. Going on a local perspective, right now in the Philippines, there's a lot of protests in my region. And I know all those organizations, and they're all angry doing at the same time. They couldn't go to COP, but I know what they're feeling. I know what they're fighting for. And I think we're all feeling the same thing, that we want to get rid of this problem that we have right now in our shoulders. We just want to feel better, but at the same time, there's still the things we still have to go through. So yeah, I think we all feel the same thing.
Okay, so what I consider that we're similar is the fact that we're all here gathered for the same issue, which is climate change. So I can see that with many young people that I spoke these days, somehow they share the same concern, and they are all fighting for it to make the world better place. So our solutions somehow are those that make us similar. While despite the fact that we're still different because everybody has their own, for example, problems in their country, but the fact that we want to address those problems is what makes us similar. For example, I saw a lot of people having problems with oceans in their country, and I saw how they're addressing those problems and what type of solutions they have. While, for example, in Kosovo, one of the problems is deforestation, which is also in some other countries with some people that I met. So it all depends on the region where young people are, but what brings them together is the desire and the passion to change the world and to make the world a better place.
Thank you so much. So I'm hearing passion, that there's a lack of education, but still young people have found a way, and they're here, right? It's often at your own expense, at your own cost. You're coming here because it sounds like you all believe in something bigger than it is yourself. That's pretty powerful. I'm curious, particularly for those of you who are from more of the global south or resilient areas of the world, I should say. Where do you see differences among young people here? When you come to this venue like this, which is a bit of an echo chamber, a lot of young people here kind of believe in the same cause and have the same ideas and have the same knowledge and passion. But where do you find differences, or what are the hardest challenges in those differences with other young people?
Guys, I'm not from the global south. I can go if you
You
want.
could start for us if you'd like
Do you want me to? Do you want me to like get the ball rolling?
Am I the only one from the south here?
No.
You are?
No.
Sophia.
Okay. Let's do rock, paper, scissors. I'll go. Differences. Okay. I think it's the problems. It's the problems we're facing. Like what I said earlier, we have similarities that we're all facing the same thing, but we're mad at all the different problems we're facing. Because for example, I sat at a panel earlier at Peru, where we were all ocean activists there, and we were all sharing the same issues what we're facing on coastal communities. In the Philippines, we're facing a lot of improper solid waste management. In Brazil, they're facing a lot of oil spill. In Peru, they're facing both oil spill and improper solid waste management. But at the same time, we're trying to meet up with the same solutions and try to pick up other solutions from other countries and try if it somehow works.
So not everybody's at the same level.
Not everybody's
Yeah.
at the same level, but
And how about
everybody's working
I'm just
on it.
curious, how about personal dynamics here at COP?
Personal dynamic?
Yeah, like when you meet other young people, are there differences that are hard to reckon with?
Yes, as well. Because considering the delegation for the Philippines, there's ones that are way feisty, like they're the ones who's on the streets and is really rambling about it. And there's ones who's like me, who likes to sit in the corner inside my room, who likes to draw comics about what's happening in the environment. So I think there's a really big difference on a personal level.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting how different types of personalities at a venue this large, right? There's 60,000 people here in Dubai, in Expo City. How that also shapes how we talk about things and how we collaborate, particularly if you're coming from civil society like we all are. I'm going to go move over into some closing thoughts soon. And I'd like to hear from maybe two of you, reflecting on your experience of COP, be it this one or one prior. How effective do you feel these conferences are at achieving immediate action? What do you wish could be different?
I actually said this at the last. We did a similar kind of thing when we were in Glasgow, and I think I said pretty much the same thing. It's very idealistic. If I could, I would take out all the. Like I drove the all the old white men out of the room, and I would replace them with the indigenous communities, the LGBT community, women, children, youth. I would put people who are out on the streets, who are trying to get their voices heard in these rooms, and it's just not working. The door is very firmly closed in people's faces, except when they need a token person to sit at the table. Then the door is wide open, and they're there, they listen, they go, okay, cool, the box is ticked, moving on, great. My favorite events and favorite opportunities at COP was when I was at some briefings and panels with Indigenous women specifically. They spoke so much about the connection to the land and how we've lost it and how we need to come back to it and how we need to listen more and connect more with the land and treat it like a person, and talking about the rights of nature. How in some countries they have given like the rights to, like, a river was basically listed as like an entity and that it needed to be respected. And I really, really loved that. And I would really love to see that kind of perspective and consideration in more of the decision-making rooms. But in an ideal scenario, I would do that, and COP would never happen again because they would fix everything. And yeah, that would be my perspective.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a representation issue, you know? Certain people are not deciders and the decision power should move.
Yeah, basically, I think there's a big focus on MAPA, or most affected people in areas, and Fridays for Future are a really strong advocate on that. And it's around decolonizing COP, decolonizing political systems.
Yeah, I mean, the UN, right, is made up of the successors of certain wars in our history. And, you know, we have a Security Council, and I think those are all good things to examine, right? Sophia, you want to come in here, Ule?
Okay. I didn't really like the fact that I've been listening to the same things here at COP, and it really, it doesn't matter the topic, but people are always saying it should be, it has to be, it has to change, and I haven't heard in 2 weeks, we are doing this now. Or the plan is to do this date. And so for me, it's like, why are we here if we are like not talking about the present, you know? It's weird. And we are here at COP28, and they are always talking about the same future that never arrives. Okay.
If you can see us online, or those of you in the audience, we just had a small technical light situation.
The entire building, it's not just this
It's
room.
dark now, but we'll continue. The audio still works, so why not?
Okay. So we are talking about the future that never arrives. And for me, that really makes me question whether COP works or not. But yeah, I would really like to change a few things, but especially I would like to have more young negotiators. Same as you, Maya, said, because I've been seeing the same people at every COP, and we don't see any changes. So yeah, but for me, really, I don't want to talk about the same thing once again, but I would really like for COP to end and not have more COPs, of course, but it will keep going on. So in the future, I would like to see more. We are doing this, and not we should do this anymore. So yeah, I'm really tired of it.
Thank you, Sophia. So on that note, I'm just curious: is it important that people like us come to COP? Is it important that we're here? What's the benefit? I mean, why do we come here? What power do we bring?
It really is important for me. COP is not like the opportunity, but it is the place where opportunities begin. You come here, and you meet amazing people. And the best thing that you can do at COP is to talk with others and create new projects. Because as civil society, we can unite and do things. And as my personal experience, this is my second COP, and I've been doing that. And so the main reason why I came here, once that civil society exchange, where new opportunities begin and new projects.
Thank you. Ule, I'm curious. There's been, there's always a talk like a lot of negotiators feel frustrated that the COP has become so big. Just from like your perspective here as civil society, you've been to COP 26, you've now come to COP 28. Do you think that COP should just be for negotiators only or for governments only? Should civil society still have access to it? Or do you think it's gotten too big and they shouldn't be here?
First, I would like to answer also the question that was Sophia asked. So, what I think about like the future, or how I see the future, and some closing thoughts is that it's okay to go to COP. It should be, every country should be here and everything like that. But in the end, of course, COP is important, but it's up to the countries to do laws, first of all, policies that protect somehow the environment. So of course you can do COP 30, COP 35, but if those countries keep attending but they are not doing anything about it, just attending, then I don't know what's the importance of coming to the COP. That's why I say that never take COP attendance for granted. Because it's an opportunity for you to show commitment and to show that you want to bring a solution to a problem that you're facing in your country. So I think that many people should appreciate COP as a place where you can change things in your country, and you need to use that opportunity. And back to your question, I think it's important for civil society to be present at the COP because they bring somehow a different perspective, because we're the only ones, not the only ones, but we're the ones who are working directly, not only with communities and young people, but there are also organizations who are working directly with climate change issues, so they know the real problem, the core of the problem. So I think it's important for them to be there, not only as observers, but also be part of negotiations and give their comments and their opinion to be heard, because they are there. They are they are the people who are facing the problems directly, and they know what the real problem is. So I think it's important not only for organizations, but people who are facing these problems to be present at COP.
I really like what Ule is saying there around the role of civil society. I suppose just maybe like a hot tip for any people who may unlikely listen and they have access to party overflow badges, or when they're thinking about who they're bringing to COP, maybe try to prioritize civil society in terms of like youth and environmental organizations and MAPA communities, maybe instead of fossil fuel lobbyists.
I think that's a great tip. I think the hardest challenge here is that for so many years, our world has been made up of institutions, and these institutions have a lot of money and a lot of power, and to change them takes a lot of time. And I definitely see the value in marginalized voices showing up and pressuring their representatives here that they should consider their narrative or their opinion and as they negotiate. I don't know what COP would be like without civil society, but it will not be a fun COP, that's for sure. So we're approaching time soon. I do have, I think, maybe 2 more questions, or maybe there's a question from the audience here. But I guess I'd like to end a little bit more on the more positive side. Is there any solutions back where you come from that you think are really good examples that should be funded or should be scaled?
I'll share this one. It's actually already being scaled, but I'd love to see other countries, YMCA nationalities, take advantage of this solution that we're currently working on. Way back last year, Amy is very familiar with this. We did the Care for Climate project in the Philippines. It was a partnership between 4 YMCAs, 2 YMCAs from the Philippines, which is YMCA of Albay and Laguna, and 2 YMCAs from the US, Florida and Ann Arbor. So we did a capacity training on young advocates, and specifically environmental advocates. So we have a group of them now. We call them Green Ambassadors. And then this year, we decided at the YMCA of Albay that it's starting to create capacity trainings every year. What if, at the same time, every year with just us, what if we allow other YMCAs to do the same thing? So what we did was institutionalize the project. So it's now a module that's available for all YMCAs to do it. So every YMCA, wow, that's bright. So it's now available for every YMCA to have it. They can just reach us out. And at the same time, I'm hopeful that maybe you guys can adapt it as well. I heard that Amy, their team at the US, is already using it to educate their staff about environment and climate education. And then later on, their staff will be educating their young advocates. So that's what's happening right now. And the more we have advocates, the more we, forward more solutions.
So really coming back to the education piece, there is no education. I think Sophia talked about that, but we all found ourselves here. And it sounds like, we are creating that solution. So the future generations growing up right now don't have to kind of find their way in the dark, as a lot of us here have done. I'm curious, thinking about a message for those who don't care about this topic, or for those who feel like they have given up because it is very defeating at times, or for those who have no idea what's going on, no shame. Maybe you live in your own world. Could all of you just share a quick message to those people right now, one of those audiences?
Okay, I will start because it's going to be quick. Sooner or later, it's going to hit you, so you should educate yourself.
I love that.
Oh, that was harsh.
I love it, though.
Okay, so I think that this happens because people are not really aware that some things happen or are part of climate change. In my country, recently we had a really serious problem. And we, in the main city, we ran out of water, really. We had salty water coming out of in our houses, but like for a long time, and it was a serious problem. And people were blaming the government. And I know, but at the same time, that happens because you're not aware that those are the effects of climate change. And so I will say that when you're facing a problem, you should go back and find the root, because it may be very highly probable, it may be climate change. And then if you realize that, I will say that try to choose the best option that will be more eco-friendly. So, because like it really is like that. Small actions counts, and yeah, that's what I will say. And also, if you have given up, I will say that I've been there, and take your time, take care of your mental health, and then just keep trying. You don't have to do really big things. You just can do the best that you can.
Thank you so much. And I just want to touch on something. One, the mental health thing is 100% real. I relate to that. And another thing, knowing the root of the problem makes it a lot easier and gives you a lot more confidence and courage to talk to your representative, your mayor, your small local politician about what needs to change, right? When you are informed, you can have a conversation and pressure where your representatives stand. And of course, that changes depending on what region you're in and the scale of your democracy. But I just wanted to add that point and definitely come in on the take a break. It's okay. Try your best. Lester?
Closing thoughts on people who don't care. I'd like to share that the Philippines recently got a result that we are ranked like part of the top 10 of the world of the countries with the lowest comprehension. It's a really bad result. And it's a bit disappointing. Yeah. Philippines is like ranked with one of the baddest comprehension when it comes to education. And it somehow reflects on how we see things. And what I would like to say is majority of the decisions right now is technically from us. It's all our choices. And despite that there are choices from the government side, there are choices on your personal side, you can't always blame the government. At the same time, it's a dual purpose. You have to participate at the same time. It can't always be the government. They have to work with you, the public. So since this is a personal perspective, sending it out there to every Filipino right there, we can't always just blame the government that there's something wrong with our environment, with what's happening in our community. We have to work together. If the government isn't doing anything, then we have to show them that they really need to do something about it.
Yeah, if it's not being done for you, then do it yourself kind of attitude. That's hard. Thank you. Maya?
What was the question? I knew it was something about.
Well, do you have a message for those who don't care or for those who feel like they've given up or maybe those who have no idea what's going on?
Okay, I'll do it very quickly. Those who don't care, specifically atting people in decision-making places like politicians, people in power, you really need to start valuing youth a little bit more, because at the end of the day, when you are old and retired, is young people are going to be in the positions of power, ideally. And you're going to want them to listen to you then, and you're going to be frustrated when they aren't, because you didn't listen to them when they were trying to get their voices heard. You need to cop on, for want of a better, for want of a better pun, I guess. I think definitely I am so tired of chasing politicians around the place and saying you don't have time. You have plenty of time to meet other stakeholders. Why are youth any different? And I suppose to those who are in the space, I really, really echo with what Sophia was saying around minding yourself. it's okay to take a step back sometimes. I know it's really, really hard and really frustrating because we don't have time. It's urgent, but you got to think of yourself as a resource, and if you spend all your batteries, it's gonna be harder and harder to recharge them. You know the way phones slowly get worse and worse? If you keep dying them out, yeah, your phone. But also, I think it took me a while to kind of get the confidence to talk about climate and climate justice because I didn't feel that I had a space in the movement. So I really think that once you find what you care about and channeling that into the climate justice lens, read about climate justice, have a little look, and reach out to people that you see that are engaging. I talked to loads of people. I was sliding into people's DMs, being like, I actually don't understand this topic too much. Can you explain it a little bit more? But that's a confidence. It's like a muscle. You just have to use it once and it gets easier, I think.
Thank you. Well, I believe our time is just coming to an end, so I want to thank everybody for being here today. For those of you online, thank you so much. Quick round of applause for our in-person audience on these guys. That'd be great. And for those watching around the world, thank you for being with us. Goodbye and good night.